Hello. Michal, what page are we on?
We're on page 186. I believe we finished the second paragraph.
Okay. So we said that we were talking about, soulmates. And what does it mean to really find your soulmate? And why does it take so long to find your soulmate? Right? So then Reb Shlomo quoted the Medrash saying that Yom Rishon, Sunday, has a mate, which is Yom Sheni. Third day of the week has the fourth day of the week as its mate. Fifth day has the sixth day as its mate. And then Shabbos said, "What about me?" And Hashem said, "The people of Israel are going to be your soulmate," right? So he explained what is that supposed to mean. It means that when Shabbos comes, we find ourselves connected to our supernal point. Right? We've been talking about the supernal point, the connection above, and so on. So in the middle of the page, Mahu Avdel, we read this paragraph yesterday, but we're going to read it again. Mahu Avdel, page 185, the middle of the page. Right, 185, Nachol, right? Or 186. Oh, 186, excuse me. 186. So he said that what is the real job of parents? I mean, so your soulmate, first of all, is someone with whom you feel connected, both above and below, right? That you're having a real connection, with Hashem. And then children are sort of scared about coming down into this world. And Hashem says to them, "Oh, you have a father and a mother waiting for you, and they're going to be able to provide you with a connection to heaven in this world." And how terrible it is when children are so disappointed that parents don't do that for them. They're really disappointed, I want my father and mother to connect me to my highest point and to keep me connected here in this world, right? Okay, so middle of the page. Why do children love their parents? כי הם אומרים, because they say, אתם יכולים להראות לנו תמונות מהמקום שבאנו ממנו, because kids say, you can show us pictures of where we come from. אתם יכולים להראות לנו תמונות מן השמיים, you can give us images of heaven. ומה אני עושה? So what do I do? Unfortunately, אני מראה להם תמונה של הבנק שלי. I show them a picture of my bank, או המקום שבו אני שומר את כספי, where I keep my money. ולאחר מכן, and then afterwards, מראה להם את תמונה של הקולג' שבו הם אמורים ללמוד, and then I show them a picture of the university that they're going to be studying in. ולקבל ציונים טובים and to get good marks. הילדים אומרים, the children are saying, לא בשביל זה באנו, that's not for this that we came to this world. אנחנו צריכים משהו אחר, we need something else. אנחנו צריכים משהו הרבה יותר עמוק, we need something a lot deeper. הרבה יותר עמוק. אם אני לא מחובר עם השמיימי, if I'm not connected with the heavenly, שאני צריך כל כך, which I need so badly, איך אוכל שוב להוריד אותו? How will I be able to bring it down? אין דרך, there's no way, זאת צריכה להיות מתנה משמיים. It has to be a gift from heaven. בית המקדש השלישי ממש יורד מן השמיים. The third temple, the Medrash says, it's literally going to be coming down from heaven. פשוט יורד מן השמיים. What is that supposed to mean, besides being mystical, right? What it means is that you have to understand that it's a gift. You have to understand that the third Beit HaMikdash, right, like the first two we built and they've been destroyed, right? The third one is going to come down from heaven. Meaning to say that it's a gift. You now let's just take it on a more personal level. You can go to the bookstore and buy the latest book, catalog of spiritual practices, etc. And you can go and practice all these things. And you can have a very, very special experience. But it doesn't mean that you are connected to your highest point. You see, the thing is like this, just like physically, when you eat food, if you're hungry, then eating stops you from being hungry, right? So likewise, we do have a spiritual side to our being. You can have a spiritual experience, but it doesn't mean that it's authentic. You can eat non-kosher food and feel full, but it's still not kosher food. You can have a spiritual experience almost anywhere, right? I remember, like a lot of Jewish kids saying, that when they walked into an ashram, they had a far more intense spiritual experience than they did in the synagogue, which I'm not surprised. A lot of synagogues don't really focus on spirituality, but still. So if you had so back in our history, when we had occasions that we worshipped the idols, or when we made the golden calf, you think we were stupid or something? Like we were just dancing around this golden calf and not having a spiritual experience. We were having an intense spiritual experience.
So to have a legitimate spiritual experience,
it has to be
a Jewish.
It has to be according to the Torah. But the fact that you're actually experiencing something spiritual is because that's the way Hashem created you, so that you have the capacity to experience that. If you're going to judge, if somebody's going to judge what's real on the basis of when he or she is having in other words, a more intense spiritual experience is more authentic, no. Okay? In other words, the human being, and even within Judaism itself, you can go off and find yourself a cave or find yourself some place in the woods, and isolate yourself from everybody and have an intense spiritual experience. But is it an authentic spiritual experience according to the Torah? Only if it's done within the context of the way the Torah is guiding us. And if the Torah says that you got to live your holiness and your spirituality in community, and the only way that you're having your divine epiphanies, or whatever word it is, it would be the right word, is when you're away from everybody, well, then there's something wrong there. It's not the real thing. Okay? Because the real thing is not dependent just on you. The real thing is dependent on Hashem giving you the gift of the connection. Understand? It's dependent on, you have to do all that you need to do. But ultimately, it's Hashem's gift to connect us, to make the connection, the real connection, possible.
And if you don't get it, that means
you try again. No, so I'm saying, but so Shabbos is a gift, right? Shabbos is, you can experience on Shabbos, you can experience that it's like literally a gift, right? But every mitzvah is a gift.
Every mitzvah is a gift
from heaven.
When it's fulfilled.
When if you fulfill it properly, it's a gift, right? Just like when the Medrash says that the third Beit HaMikdash is going to be coming down from Shemayim, what Reb Shlomo is explaining is, I'm not worried about whether you are going to perceive that literally or this way or that way and so on. The issue, that's not the point. The technology is not the point. Just like, for example, when we say that God created the world with 10 utterances, it's people start figuring out, what language was he speaking and what, and does he have a voice box or does he have a beat box or whatever, you know what I mean?
Didgeridoo.
Yeah, didgeridoo, right, like those long big things, right? And it's not about the technology. What do you know about technology anyway? Just imagine somebody at your bar mitzvah, you're young enough, but let's say it's your bar mitzvah. When you were a kid, somebody would come over and give you a little computer chip.
You didn't know what to do with it.
You wouldn't know what to do with it. Who says it didn't exist?
Chip? When I was at bar mitzvah?
I'm just kidding you. Okay?
Not that you know.
Right.
Exists, yeah.
And then they give you a little computer chip, right? And they tell you, oh, this has every book in the world on it. And you'd say, how could that be possible? So who cares how it's possible? So you don't have the technology yet. You don't understand the technology, okay? Take, for example, the Zohar says that all the motion in the universe is generated by, you know what? Music.
By what?
Music. There's a music that is generating all the motion in the universe. We can't hear it, okay? But does that make sense to you at this point in time? Well, some people, you put on the music, they start moving, right? But but nevertheless, so what? So you don't understand the technology, and who cares? And if you understand the technology, who says it's going to be exactly the same the way that you think about it right now, right? People have this tendency to think about, we all have this tendency to think in worldly terms, in the way we know things, right? The way we know things, the way we understand things, right? Okay. So what if I don't understand how it could be? Who cares? The point is that Hashem communicates with us. When we say that the world was created with the 10 divine utterances, what we're saying is that Hashem communicated. Come here. Let's take a book. What we're saying is that Hashem communicated with us. That's what we're saying. You might think of this root. That's all we're saying. What was the technology? That's not the point. That Hashem gave us Shabbos, so we have the technology. It's 25 hours of the week, right? But is that the technology? It just basically means that Hashem is giving us a gift of connecting to the supernal realm that is different than the rest of the week.
That's heavy stuff.
Well, it's a good thing your sleeves are rolled up. You can pick it up.
From what you just said,
Yeah.
our very existence is a gift from God.
Absolutely. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Who told you, Zach?
What?
No.
I don't
Go on,
know.
let it. Yeah.
It's not.
Every instant, not just you and me. The entire existence of the universe is a continuous, instant by instant recreation.
I've heard you say many times that if Hashem wouldn't, Hashem creates the world every minute, and if Hashem wouldn't create it, Hashem wouldn't say he or there wouldn't be. I've heard you say this many times. Now was the first time that I understood. If Hashem wouldn't say Yechi Michael should live, I wouldn't be existing either.
Right.
So I called why?
That's right.
Look at that.
I would add another word to that. Is that Hashem is giving us, is creating us every instant in love. Not only us, all existence.
Olam Chesed Yibaneh. The whole act of creation is an act of Chesed. Okay, so the real reason why children are loving their parents is because children instinctually know that their parents are supposed to be able to connect them with the world that they're coming from. So, how do we connect if we're not connected, right? So you got to pray for the gift to be connected. I know that I've told you the story before. Some of you, Michal, probably heard it already, maybe more than once. When the Mittler Rebbe became Rebbe, the second Lubavitcher Rebbe became Rebbe. Okay. Well, let me. I'll get to the story in a minute. You guys, were you ever at a concert with Reb Shlomo? You were. You were also. Yeah. Okay. So, do you think every concert was the same for him? No. And many factors. And he once told me himself, there were times that he just couldn't wait to get off stage. And he was once asked. It might be on YouTube, I don't know, but there was this, maybe it still exists, but there was this Jewish TV show in New York. A guy called Brenner, Zev Brenner.
Radio show. No.
There was also a TV show, yeah. And so he was once interviewing Reb Shlomo, and he says to him, "You were Makarev. You brought so many Jews back to Judaism. What's your secret? Like, how what can you tell us about how it's done?" So Reb Shlomo said two things. He said, first of all, I don't consider myself. I don't use the word kiruv. I don't use the word of bringing people back close. As a matter of fact, the Rebbe also, when people would come and meet with the Rebbe, at the dollars lines, and the Rebbe would say to somebody, "What do you, if you would ask him, what do you do?" And he says he works in kiruv v'choikim, bringing those who are far away, bringing them close back. And the Rebbe would say, "There's no such thing as a Jew that is far away." So Reb Shlomo says, I don't use the word kiruv. How do you know that the person that you think that you're bringing closer to God, maybe they're closer to God than you are? Yeah, maybe he's not putting on tefillin, maybe he's not this, maybe he's that. Doesn't mean that he isn't close to God. Okay? And he says, secondly, I don't have any strategy. The only thing I can tell you is that I pray to God to put the right words in my mouth. And he tells the following story. Back in 1982, there was a big conference organized in India, in Bombay. What's it called today, Bombay?
Mumbai. M-U-M-B-A.
Mumbai, come on. You should know better than me.
M-U-M-B-A-I.
Yeah. Mumbai. Okay, same place. Could be. Why not? And there were 20,000 people attending it, and this Swami it was a conference of world religions for peace. And the Swami that was organizing it was actually Jewish. And the only ones that she didn't invite were rabbis. Because as far as she was concerned, Judaism had nothing to say about peace. Anyway, David Zeller, Reb Shlomo, through his connections, he managed to get an invitation for Reb Zalman and for Reb Shlomo, Aleichem Shalom, and for himself, Aleichem Shalom. The three of them aren't alive anymore. And they were the only ones that actually had to pay their own way. In other words, of those who were going to do presentations, everybody else got their tickets. They had to pay their own way, and they went. So Reb Shlomo says that, the king of Zalman did the meditation, David did the meditation, and then it was time for him to get up on stage. And he says to the crowd, to 20,000 people, he says, I'm just a simple Jew from New York. And I don't remember the exact word, whether he said, I smell like a Jew from all four sides, or if he said, I stink like a Jew from all four sides. And I came to share my songs. And he says he shut his eyes, and he didn't even dare open them for 20 minutes. And when he opened his eyes, he was amazed to see that the entire place was up and dancing. After the concert, the Holy Swami, the organizer, who didn't want to invite any rabbis, comes up to Reb Shlomo, gives him a hug, and she says, when you said that you stink like a Jew from all four sides, I said to myself, whom am I fooling? I'm not fooling anybody. That Swami used to be a Bes Yaakov girl. She used to go to an ultra-religious school. And today she lives in Har Nof, and she's got 6 grown children all in the yeshiva world and everything. She came back. Now, what kiruv training program would ever tell you? There are such programs that train you on how to speak in these kinds of settings. And which program would ever tell you, here's a good line, tell them that you stink like a Jew. This is a good line, tell them, you'll attract them like crazy, right? So Reb Shlomo says, it's a gift. He prays to Hashem that Hashem should put the right words in his mouth. Those were the right words on that day. And who knows how many other people have to hear those words, but particularly this Swami had to hear those words. In other words, what she had to hear was, no matter how you dress up, you're still going to smell like a Jew. Okay? And she heard it, and she came back home. Okay? So that's a gift from Hashem. It's not something that Shlomo, like has a bunch of flashcards. Which should be my opening line, And or on other occasions, but he sang the same song hundreds of times, right? Sometimes the song would put the crowd on fire, and sometimes it went over like nicely, but nobody, but without people getting caught on fire, right? Sometimes he was able to bring down the gift very intensely, and sometimes he was able to bring it down, but only just so much so. Yeah. So the Middle Rebbe, we call him the Middle Rebbe, the Middle Rebbe, the one between the Alter Rebbe and the Tzemach Tzedek. So when he became Rebbe, at the first Farbrengen, one of the things that he said was, a Jew always has to pray to be a Jew. I just told you the story recently. Does anybody remember if you were here for the story? No? A Jew always has to pray to be a Jew. So among the elder Hasidim that were there, people that were Hasidim of his father, one of them was Rabbi Zlahamala, and he thought to himself, I live far away. I'm already an elderly person. I know all the teachings that the Alter Rebbe gave. So to hear such a deep teaching that a Jew has to pray to be a Jew, I don't have to come all the way from my hometown to the Yozhner or to wherever the Mitzvah Rebbe was living at the time to hear that, And he decided that he would just, continue doing his service of Hashem in his hometown. Anyway, one day, one hot summer afternoon, sitting and learning, and I'm sure it's happened to everyone over here. I can demonstrate it. I'm sure I've demonstrated it more than once. Looking you fall asleep in the middle of learning. Never happened to you, right? No.
Happens to me.
No.
Happens to me.
It happens to all of us.
They're not old enough.
They're old enough. I started at 6. Anyway, he dozes off. Then he starts to dream, There's a knock on the door. It's the local butcher. Says, Rabbi, I just bought a couple of cows at the market. I have one with me over here. I have to go get the other one. Do you mind if I tie it up to your post? She says, no, go ahead. Ties up the cow to the post and he leaves. And then a couple of minutes later, a merchant and a policeman show up. You're under arrest, Rabbi. This is a stolen cow. So he had no reason to assume that they were telling the truth. And he figured it could very well be that they're just making that accusation because they wanted a little bit of what they call in this town bakshish. You know what that means?
Mm-hmm.
A payoff, Still goes on even in the States. And so he sort of suggests to them that they look in this drawer where there was some money, and the cop says, oh, you're trying to bribe us too? Now you're really in trouble. In the meantime, the butcher shows up with the second cow, and the rabbi and the butcher doesn't take more than 2-3 days. They find themselves in Siberia. And it's shortly before Pesach, and the rabbi is really, what happened here? What's this all about? Anyway, a couple of weeks before Pesach, the priest comes into the prison, and he says, any Jew that's willing to convert will be freed. You just go through the conversion, and you can go back to your home. I'm going to be back tomorrow. Think about it, and anybody that wants to convert will come with me tomorrow. So there was and he left. There was a young yeshiva student there, about 18 years old, comes over to Reb Eisel, He says, Rebbe, what should I do? She says, what do you mean what you should do? Don't even think about it. He says, Rebbe, it's very easy for you to say you're an old man, you've had your life, you've done, and but me, I'm 18 years old, I'm engaged, I have my whole life ahead of me. It's ridiculous, like, the priest is going to sprinkle some water on me, he's going to say some words in Latin. Doesn't mean anything to me. I need to be home, I want to get married. And the rabbi says, please, don't even think about it. He says, you know what, Rebbe? Forget that I even asked you. The next day, the priest shows up. Anybody willing to convert to Judaism? And this young guy gets up.
To Christianity.
Yeah. And he gets up and he goes out with the priest. And Reb Eisel is like, really like distraught. Like, not only is he in prison, but he didn't even save this fellow from going to convert. Anyway, time goes by, and a year later, he gets a letter from this young man. The wife gets a letter. Mazel tov, my wife just had a baby, and we're making a bris. And Rabbi, take my advice. The priest is going to come back before Easter. He's going to make the same offer. Go with him. It's a meaningless thing. He's going to spritz some water on you. He's going to say a few words, and you'll be home for Pesach. And lo and behold, he finishes reading the letter, and as he finishes reading the letter, guess who comes into the prison? The priest. And he makes the announcement. And Reb Eisel starts to stand up. And as he's standing up, he wakes up from his dream. The whole thing was a dream. Remember, he dozed off. So, on the next possible occasion, he went back to the Lubavitch, to the Mitzvah Rebbe to be there. And the Mitzvah Rebbe says, so have you had some good dreams lately? Okay? But the point of the story is, a Yid darf davening zu sein a Yid. A Jew has to pray to be a Jew. In other words, it's a gift. Yes, you're a Jew, you're born a Jew, or you converted. It's either way, it's a gift. It's a gift. Understand? And you have to pray to be a Jew. So that's what Reb Shlomo was talking about over here. So when we say that the third Beit HaMikdash is coming down from heaven, that it was realized that it's a gift. And that as long as you think that it's you who built it, if you forget that it's a gift, if you think that you did it, then it can be destroyed. But when you realize that it's a gift from Hashem, then it can't be destroyed. Okay? So he says, second last line on 186, I bless you and bless me back. That we should have the great merit of connecting our children with the above. With the above, capital T, right? And Gewalt, page 187. Why do we have this tradition that Eliyahu Navi doesn't ever die? Right? What's it got to do with this week's parasha? Pinchas is Eliyahu, right? כי אליהו הנביא הוא האדם היחיד אשר אצלו הלמעלה והלמטה תמיד מאוחדים ותמיד מחוברים. He doesn't die because he's this one person that for him the supernal point and the point below are always, it's okay, are always connected. הקשר לא נפסק אפילו לרגע. The connection between the above and the below is not interfered with, is not destroyed even for a moment. Yes, you have a book. Take out another book, please. Ah, here's one. Here's one. Here.
It's the same book?
No, it's not actually. Sorry, another book. I'll finish for him already. Okay? So, in other words, he was the kind of person that was totally connected all the time, and therefore he lives forever. And he goes, do. I want you to know. The beginning of the chuppah starts with the chosin going and covering the kala's face. What is the chatan actually doing by doing that? What's the chosin actually doing? What's he trying to tell her? What he's saying is, I want to connect you to the above, to the supernal. I want our wedding to be on the level of the supernal. Not just in this world. Soon, at the chuppah, I will be giving you a ring. And that will make us connected here in the world below. But first and foremost, for you. But first and foremost is let's make our connection above. In other words, he covers the bride's face because he's sort of saying our connection is not dependent on what I see superficially. Right? I want to tell you a few words about covering the bride's face. Now, understand that what does this have to do with Tammuz Av, right? So keep in mind that everything has to do with our relationship with Hashem. Tammuz Av is the months where our relationship with Hashem needs a lot of fixing, and our relationship with, bless you, and our relationship with each other needs a lot of fixing. Okay. So when we're talking about these aspects of the wedding, right? So it relates to that. So he says, and I don't want to say anything bad. It seems to me that in most weddings, the covering of the bride's face is just done like a 1, 2, 3, like let's get it over with, like backhanded, without giving it the proper attention, the necessary attention. Did you ever see how it was done? Everybody's eating, everybody's talking. Then the two fathers take the chosin and they drag him. I said they drag him. They drag him there. And the poor guy looks like he's going to die or something,
He's fasting all day.
Fasting all day. Yeah, so the chosin yesterday was also fasting all day. He didn't look like he was going to die. He was so happy. But and V'Havsalam b'diuk mitzalem et hakala, and the photographer is photographing the kala. V'ha'ima shela misadeget la tasimla, and her mother is straightening out her dress. And Mishu b'a lavi la ksat lipstick, and somebody brings some more lipstick. V'az be'emtza kol zeh, and in the middle of all that, Osim maher kisui pnei kala, the chosin comes and they quickly covers her face. The Rogdim believe kavanah, and people dance without intention. Umezamrim believe kavanah, and they sing without any kavanah. Lachav mikein, and then afterwards chosrim v'osim chuppah. Then you go and do the chuppah. Okay, not all weddings are like that, but there are plenty like that, you know. I told you about the, huh?
I was at a wedding in Flatbush. Mama Shlomo was doing the bedeka, and he says in the middle of it, he says, "Chevra," it's all from crowd. Give cover to Yiddishkeit. Right at the
Right,
spot. Right at the spot.
Right. And then you know, sometimes like you know, Shlomo would take his time in doing these things so that people can get into it, and the caterer comes running and says the soup is getting cold. You know. Okay. So what's he talking about? Never mind about others. What's he talking about in relation to ourselves? What's he saying about how we treat our learning and or putting on tefillin or doing other mitzvahs? Are we doing it like chick-chack, you know? Or are we right? Or are we doing it with the understanding that every moment, every mitzvah is a moment of that could be the highest, right? So he says, Baruch Hashem, thank God. Thank God my chaver are a little bit deeper at the time that the Kala's face is being covered. You know that at the time that the Chosin is covering the Kala's face, that's when the souls of the children are coming down to attend the wedding. The children, the souls of the children are coming and connecting with their mother. Not in this world. They haven't been born yet. The entire ceremony of the covering of the Kala's face, it's all about connecting with this in the supernal realm. So Yoter Nishgav me'achuppah atzma, in a certain sense, is even higher than the chuppah itself. Ki achuppah hu kesher shel mata, because practically speaking, although the chuppah is also a very, when you learn the Friedrich Rebbe's lechodait ma'ameh lechodait, you'll see that. But practically, the chuppah is like the formal wedding, right? And the covering of the bride's face is the chosin and the kala connecting in the supernal way. You can't have just the covering of the face without the chuppah. But you need to do this. You need to have the covering of the bride's face. Now the Sfardim don't have that tradition, but we're talking about the tradition that we have. So, why doesn't the world do something about this? Because the only reason that people are not doing anything about it is because they're not connected about it. And the problem with when people are not connected above is that they can't tolerate these kinds of things. When people are not connected above and they're confronted with the opportunity to actually connect with the supernal realm, most people walk away from it because they're not used to it and they don't want it because it might put them in a position where like they're going to have to make some serious changes in their lives.
People don't want to do that.
And people, like, how should we say, once I heard it put this way, people prefer the familiarity of a lousy past than the unfamiliarity of a possibly better future.
Are we talking about from people here?
Also, we're talking about humanity.
Wouldn't a from person want a connection with God.
Yeah, but see, this is the thing. I was watching as a matter of fact, I think I'm going to put it on in a couple of minutes. It was like, did you guys have a Verbringen on Monday night?
Yeah.
How come nobody told me about it? I tried to find out. Did you have one with who?
We had
So many.
about 12 rabbis from South Africa
Were there?
that came here.
I met Rabbi Goldman's son-in-law. He was
Yeah.
there too.
He was there, yeah.
So that's who it was Verbringen. I sent a message.
There's a
you know,
rabbinical
Rabbi Alex
conference here now from South African rabbis right now.
Anyway, so
What?
Big conference.
Rabbi
the-
Alex
the-
Karibach sends his regards.
he's here.
Yeah.
And what about Lipsker? Is here too?
I haven't seen him.
Mandel, no?
Yeah.
Well, you have a way to get in touch with Alex?
Yeah.
Please tell him, can you bring him for Shalosh Shudas?
I'll see if he's still in Jerusalem.
Try?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, I would love for him to come over.
Yeah,
It
especially
would be great. His brother was his brother who's no longer alive was my classmate.
Wow. He sent his regards. I told him.
I'll tell him that he should come and bring it personally.
Cool.
Anyway, I haven't seen him, in how many years? At least more than 40, about 44 years.
Wow.
Maybe I saw him once since then. He has a daughter that lives here. Anyway, if you have a way of getting in touch with him,
Yeah, I'm on
please.
WhatsApp with him.
Okay, great. So please tell him that Shalom is inviting him to come to Shalom Shudas, and that you'll show him how to get here.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. He may have gone back by Wednesday. He may have gone back.
You may have gone back.
I'll check.
Let me know. Do you have my number too?
I'll get it.
You get it after. Okay? Anyway, so what was I telling you? So the Rebbe, in this little piece, it's a little. It's about a 6 or 8 minute piece, and the Rebbe is crying while he's talking, and he's talking about Jews who are observant. They go to minyan, they learn Torah, they give tzedakah, but they've given up on experiencing the presence of Hashem in every moment of their lives. Now he's acting like their defense, you understand? But he's not criticizing them, and he's crying over it. You'll see. I'll put it on in a couple of minutes. Anybody who wants to stay to see it is welcome. Okay.
What should be done by?
What?
What should be done when covering the count?
What do we do?
Well, I know what we do. I've seen,
I'm
but
saying-
what should be done? Like what
I'm
should
saying
be
that
changed?
what did Reb Shlomo used to do? He would sing the Gunim and a few Devrei Torah and focus on what's actually happening. Okay. So he says, huh?
My first group was about 20 minutes with that, and that was a very short wedding. The whole thing was only about an hour and a half. So it's 20 minutes.
I guess the caterer.
No, he had to catch a flight.
Who did it?
Shlomo.
Oh, Shlomo did
Yeah.
it. Okay. But he also knew how to do very intense things very quickly.
Yeah, 20 minutes. I mean, most people have equipment in 20 minutes. No?
Right. So like Simcha and Leah, it was like over an hour, the Bedekim. And then the chuppah was 2 hours.
Shlomo catch a 4 hour.
What, the Bedekim?
No, the whole. No.
By who? By what?
By Shlomo Katz.
By his own wedding? Maybe. I don't know.
By Ramot Rabbeinu.
Okay. So he says, "Kol davar shani lo rotze la'asot." We're on the third line on 188. Everything that, I'm sorry, excuse me, still in the top line. So people are not familiar with it and they don't know how to tolerate it. Hem osim et atzmam ki'ilu hu lo kayam. So they act as if it's not reality. Kol davar shani lo rotze la'asot, ani tzachek. Things that I don't want to do, I mock. ראיתם איך אנשים צוחקים בהלוויות? You ever see people laughing at a funeral? Why are they laughing there? כי הם לא יודעים איך לבכות, because they don't know how to cry. מה עושים? So what do they do instead? צוחקים, so they laugh. אבל מין צחוק ששובר את הלב, but it's a very sad laughter, it breaks the heart. מדוע אנשים יושבים בזמן כיסוי פני כלה ואוכלים? Why are people sitting and eating at the tables already while the chosn is covering the kala's face? כי הם מפחדים להסתכל בעצמם ולומר, because they're afraid to look and see and say, גוואלד אני לא קשור. They're afraid to admit, I'm not connected. גוואלד גם אני צריך את זה. They're afraid to admit, I need this too. גוואלד אני צריך קשר קטן עם מעלה. I really need to have a little connection with the supernal. לכן הם אומרים, so therefore what they do instead is, they say, עשה את עצמי כאילו זה לא קיים. I'm just going to act as if it doesn't exist. Right? And so this is the idea. Like, you got to know that it's a gift. It's a gift to be connected. You got to pray for it, and you got to give it time and space in your life for it to actually happen.
Kosher means to connect.
Kesher.
Kesher.
With a chav, it means kosher. With a kuf, it means